Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Next on our Rise Xchange holiday show, we have some of our best recent guest interviews. In tonight's corner office, to say the process of getting accepted into an Ivy League institution is competitive is an understatement. Get this, Harvard and Stanford accepted just 6% of its applicants this year, and experts say these top schools and others are rejecting a vast majority of students that they would have admitted in the past. Admission directors say that the students who they turn down are as strong as the ones that are getting in. Well, our next guest has made a business out of helping students in urban areas get into their schools of choice. He attended Harvard while being accepted to 5 other Ivy League schools. Welcome, Jay Gardner, the founder of the Ivy Key.
How are you doing?
Thank you for coming here. This is very competitive. Why the statistic that so many that they're being choosier at a time when I understand that colleges are competing for students more?
Well, again, right now you're having so many more students just applying to schools. I mean, when I got accepted to Harvard, it was around 8.25%, and now you have. I mean, roughly when I got in, it was about 25,000 students were applying. Now it's up to 30,000. And next year, they're predicting maybe 32,000, but the amount of spots that are available are still remaining the same. So you still have 1,600 spots that are available at Harvard, but just more students applying. So just having a 2,400, a 4.0 is not enough. You have to be a dynamic student outside the classroom.
So now you help students in quote, urban areas get into school. So what is the difference between students in urban areas versus more rural areas as far as their experience in the backgrounds and what these schools are looking for?
Well, again, it's less so about what's going on inside the classroom, because that's something in terms like the SATs, right? That's pretty standard across the nation, but they're looking at what you're doing outside the classroom. So it's about the opportunities that are available at your schools, whether you're talking about AP classes, talking about extracurriculars. Those are things that are really the separating factor, especially now with the apps being just so dynamic and people are using that on such a huge level. Schools are looking for that. Back in the day, maybe 10 years ago, computers were just a thing of, oh, you do computers, that's great, you want to get to computer science, but now they're saying, have you developed an app yet?
Oh, really? They're asking students, have you developed an app? Do you have a blog?
Yeah. At the end of the day, Harvard wants to have another Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah, that's true.
They want to have, instead of just one, they want to have 10. Right? And you're having students who are now having dynamic college resumes and portfolios when they're coming to these schools, where they're saying, hey, not only am I doing well in school, I've developed 3 or 4 apps outside.
So I would think that the public school system, to be blunt, is probably not prepared to handle that, because it's a slow-moving process in changing curriculums.
This is true, but you do have a lot more schools adopting things like Coding for America, Coding for Girls, and bringing a lot more coding into schools as extracurricular activities. And you're seeing a bigger push for that, especially across New York as well.
Okay, so how do you work with students? First, when should they show up at your front door? And how do you work with students to get them prepared?
Well, again, for me, it's about a process that starts in 9th grade, right? So I'm making sure you understand the academic part, right? How am I going to do well in school, just on a very base level. But then, in terms of extracurriculars, what am I getting involved in? And then comes sophomore year, when you're talking about standardized test prep, right? My SATs, my ACTs, SAT 2s. And then in junior year, that's really what I call your trading year, like in sports, right? It's extremely important that you're having all your top grades, right? 4.0 across the board.
It's your power earning years.
Exactly, because a lot of students wait until their senior year and then go, okay, I'll make up for lost time. But again, they don't really care at that point.
So with sort of even applicants, when it comes to their education performance, then how important, more so than ever, I take it, than the extracurricular, and what extracurricular activities are schools looking at?
Well, they're looking for you to be a leader and also a collaborator, right? So for instance, if you're looking at someone who's a captain of a basketball team, right? Again, you're showcasing that you're a leader, but also you have to collaborate with your teammates or obviously to win the game, because one man can't do it. So they're looking for that. They're looking for you to obviously do things that they would love sports related, right? Because there's a lot of collaboration there, but things that are definitely academic, right? Whether you're being student government, right? I was on a debate team, things that you're talking about involving the community. A lot of community service, I think, is very good. And showcasing that you're a real person. I think a lot of times students feel as though as long as they get a 2400 and a 4.0, they'll be fine, but they want to know, what are you doing outside?
What about the sensitive question of whether students can afford this and those who cannot do poorly? When I was growing up, for example, SAT preps, right? How much are you going to spend on an SAT prep, and whether your parents can afford to do that?
Well, again, I mean, for my firm, when we first started, we were basing it, because I went to high school here in the city, and it was all about making sure that education is a right, not a privilege, right? And a lot of times you have a lot of students who definitely have parents who are well-to-do and they can afford the private tutoring, right, the $500 an hour. But for me, I want to make sure just to bridge that sort of gap.
Jay, we have about 30 seconds left. How important are Ivy League schools anymore anyway?
I think it's important.
It's still really important.
I think it's important in terms of the resources that you can be provided for you after you leave. Especially in terms of your alumni base. You want to get into TV, you want to get into banking.
It's the alumni base actually really that's
the separating factor.
The old boys network is still unfortunately so crucial here.
Very much so.
Okay, Jay Gardner, the founder of the Ivy Key. We're going to have you back on because it's an interesting conversation.
Definitely.
Thanks for
Pleasure.
coming.
Thank you.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Next, on the Arise, a new company that's turning a passion into a profit. Our next guests are tapping into the $331 billion beverage industry. They are Miriam Kinkladze and Papanastasato, who have developed a new country from the benefits of tiger nut that is typically found in Africa. And they are in the very competitive space of the beverage industry, which is we've had a whole bunch of people on over time talking about beverages. First, why did you choose an industry that is very, very crowded?
I mean, it's super crowded, that's true.
Because, you go into the store.
Fortunately for us,
yeah.
I mean, we have something that's very unique. We're dealing with a vegetable. It's called tiger nut, but it's not a nut. It has nothing to do with tigers.
Okay.
It's actually the oldest known vegetable that all humans have in common. Out of Africa.
Yeah, I read that you said for hundreds of years now that people have been using this in beverages.
Around 2 million years, I would say.
Oh, that's a lot.
Oxford University published a study where our oldest known paleo ancestor rely heavily upon this root, with 80% of their calorie intake coming from tiger nuts. Tiger nut, the micronutrient profile, it's actually equivalent to red meat and liver, where you compare.
So you're getting a lot of protein out of it. Right?
You get not so much protein, but you get calcium. You get a lot of
iron, 15% iron.
Iron. Okay, so why, how did your passion develop then to kind of go into this? When did you wake up and say, I'm going to go into the beverage industry?
I had an event in life. I was very sick, and I cured myself by eating healthy. And this inspired me to go in food and beverage business and offer society gluten-free, allergen-free food.
And that seems to be a big trend right now, gluten-free and allergy-free, to try to step away from chemicals.
I don't believe it's a trend. I believe it's something people
here
are
to stay.
Here to stay, and people definitely need it.
Why did you set up shop in Brooklyn? Because I have to tell you, some of the most creative companies are coming out of my former hometown of Brooklyn, New York.
Well, Brooklyn has all these new, newcomers with all these food and beverages and a lot of entrepreneurs. We're based at a building where it's about 110 companies. They're all startups. It's right.
So kind of a shared workspace, right?
Almost. It's very.
So what have your biggest challenges been so far in this business?
It's funny. Our biggest challenge was finding a right marketing agency. There are basically none in New York City.
Well, and you mentioned marketing because you could have the best product in the world, but if you cannot effectively deliver the message to your consumers, it's not going to go anywhere.
True.
That was most challenging.
So marketing, and also, how did you raise money for it?
Luckily, we've been funded by a family member of an angel investor that's backing our operations. But we have something that's, for us, fortunately, we have something that's so unique. Even though in this competitive industry, We're still having a great response from buyers. We already established our distribution.
Well, let me ask you about this. How do you get it into the hands of stores when you know many companies pay for shelf space?
Concept was approved at Whole Foods before even we did branding, because it's unique.
You got into Whole Foods?
Yes, because it's unique, remarkable benefits of tiger nuts.
And then, so what is the next step for you? How do you, because I'm taking you're going to need to raise more money to really kind of blow it out and get it nationwide.
I mean, so far we're now expanding our distribution to the East Coast. We'll be covering a territory from Maine to Virginia, even further south. And that's just our goal for the next few months. We're looking for January starting on the West Coast.
On the West Coast, can you talk a little bit about how your sales have been?
Yeah, we're actually having a
40% raise every month.
14%.
Yeah.
40%. So exponentially growing.
Skyrocketing.
So how have you found? I mean, do you is this a regulatory friendly environment for you? Example, in New York, are you facing challenges from the government? And we have about 30 seconds left.
I would say right now there is so much effort for people to stay away from GMO foods and all this processed food, and I think it's happening. There is no, without any support, people tend to come to us. They get excited when they see a product that is non-processed in any level and so clean ingredients. They become so passionate that this is our support. That's what we're supporting us right now.
George and Miriam, thank you so much. We're going to try it after the show,
Okay,
so
please
stick
do.
around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unrest continues in Ferguson, Missouri. Exactly what happened to Michael Brown Jr.'s memorial. The NFL fallout continues. Why does this video change the game? President Barack Obama met with congressional leaders today.
He does not need congressional approval to carry out the strikes.
The only language understood by killers like this is the language of force.
Do I want to have a draft? No, because I don't want to have war.
Hello and welcome to Arise America. I'm Debbie Turner Bell.
Informative. The U.S. economy is on the right path, and the wizard of the Fed is leading the way.
We started our companies originally to create something that made a positive difference.
Compelling.
I became very successful, not allowing myself to be average.
Our favorite person of the day, when we pick one person who grabbed our attention and not for the right reason. Yeah, he sort of lost all business. Investors came back from the long weekend tanned, rested, and ready to buy stocks. Entertaining money daily, Arise Exchange.
One of the amazing things about Arise News is that we seek to tell stories in a way that no one else has told them. Literally, this has never been done before. I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. I'm honored. Hopefully, we're making history here.
A new medical breakthrough on the market is being credited with restoring vision to patients suffering from total blindness, and it's generating lots of buzz, according to The Nation. It's called the Bionic Eye, developed by a company called Second Sight, that's partially restoring vision using robotics and implants. Larry Hester is a patient who has received his life-changing surgery in September. He is joined by Dr. Robert Greenberg, who is CEO of Second Sight. Gentlemen, both welcome to Arise Exchange, and thank you so much. Doctor, let's begin with you. Is this a bionic eye? We think back to the 60s and, of course, the Bionic Man. What does this do?
That was really the inspiration for this, of course, was that TV show. But of course, we're not producing normal vision yet. But what we are doing is we're taking folks who have no vision, no light perception, and bringing them up to a level of low vision, kind of bringing some light back into their lives so that they're no longer in the darkness.
So let me ask you how you lost your vision and what you now see.
It was a slow deterioration of the cells in the retina, which essentially just eventually rendered me blind. And now, after the surgery, the implant and getting the chip in there and have the Argus 2, I see flashes of light. And flashes of light mean to me that you're, like right now, you're flashing, lights are flashing, which means that the device is working. It's working with contrast of light and dark. And seeing light means I see. I have light. I have vision. I have a little bit.
Can you walk on your own? Can you move around a room on your own?
Regardless of how good it is, you still have to maintain the aids you were using before. But through the occupational therapy that I'm experiencing at Duke Eye Center in Durham, I'm learning how to interpret these light flashes, which will in some cases, elongate the flash, which means there's a doorway. And so you learn that the long flashes mean there's something like a doorway there. So yes, it does.
You're able to interpret sort of the flashes of what you're seeing.
Precisely.
Dr. Greenberg, what diseases does this work best on?
So today the device is approved by the FDA for retinitis pigmentosa. It's a disease of the retina. And in Europe, it's approved for all outer retinal degenerations. So diseases that affect the retina. We're working on a version.
Is that something like macular degeneration?
Correct.
Okay, which is one of the leading causes of blindness, I think, in the country.
It is, and we actually just got approval from the UK government to begin a clinical trial in macular degeneration. So we're going to be implanting patients with AMD, which is another word for macular degeneration, very shortly. And we're working on a version of the device that will actually bypass the optic nerve. So in Larry's case, the device is actually implanted in his eye, but we're working on a version that will actually be implanted in the visual part of the brain, bypassing the optic nerve, that we hope will treat all forms of blindness.
You know, in one way you can compare this to a colloquial implant, I guess, that sort of cures deafness. Of course, that is far ahead. Where, is this in the process, do you think, to getting people to be able to see again?
It's a great analogy because actually our founder, Alfred Mann, he created a company, Advanced Bionics, that's the only U.S. manufacturer of cochlear implants. And so this really is a cochlear implant for the eye. The cochlear implants started in the 80s. And we're 10 to 15 years behind them. But just like the cochlear implants, which are upgradable through changing the externals, changing the device that you see that Larry's wearing, this is software upgradable, just like the operating system on your iPhone. And so it's very similar to a cochlear implant.
So how many people can this potentially help each year?
So today, there are about 1.5 million people with retinitis pigmentosa in the world today. We with this new version of the implant, hope to help 8 million patients who are legally blind from all causes that today have no therapy.
Okay, you rang the bell yesterday, I understand, on the NASDAQ. Does that, as far as an investment standpoint, you're looking to raise more money?
No, the IPO, we believe, actually brings us to several really important milestones. The macular degeneration trial that I mentioned, will have data from that in the middle of next year. And also, we believe that within a couple of years, we can be in patients with this cortical version of the device.
And covered by insurance, because it costs about $180,000, the operation?
It's about $145,000 for the implant itself, for the device itself, and a number of private insurers are covering the device, and a number of patients have gotten it covered by Medicare as well.
Larry, let me ask you how this has changed your life, and how does it feel to sort of be on the cutting edge of something? You are, one of the early patients in an experiment where this product potentially is just going to get better.
It is going to get better, and it has dramatically changed my life. It gives you just, I'd say a confidence about being able to have that little bit more of vision or sight, even though it's so incredibly basic. It gives you a sense of confidence, and it'll give me a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit more independence and mobility, and that's pretty significant.
And seeing things you have not seen in decades.
Oh, indeed.
Okay. Larry, Hester, thank you so much. Dr. Robert Greenberg, keep us posted, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Informative. The U.S. economy is on the right path, and the wizard of the Fed is leading the way.
We started our companies originally to create something that made a positive difference.
Compelling.
I became very successful, not allowing myself to be average.
Our favorite person of the day, when we pick one person who grabbed our attention, and not for the right reason. Yeah, he sort of lost all business. Investors came back from the long weekend, tanned, rested, and ready to buy stocks. Entertaining money daily, Arise Exchange. In tonight's corner office, it was a market that was at one time greatly overlooked, but now the plus-size clothing industry rakes in more than $17 billion in sales annually. Our next guest helped to put plus-size fashions on the map. Monique Clark is the CEO of Monif C Plus Sizes, a New York-based business, and welcome to Arise Exchange.
Thank
it is
you.
an honor to have you
Thanks
here.
for
This is a
having me.
terrific topic to talk about.
Yes.
I can't understand why it took so many years for this industry, this side of the industry, to really get going when you have all of these retailers out there pushing thinner and thinner and smaller clothes. So how did you get started?
Well, I was really frustrated with the market. I started because I am a plus size woman. I couldn't find what I wanted in the market. And I said, well, somebody's got to design this. And I actually had a chance trip overseas, and I saw all the beautiful fashion in Europe, and I said, someone needs to do this for plus size women. And so I started.
Did you speak to designers and say, look at the market here, why are you not designing for plus size women?
Well, when I actually have a degree in math and computer science. I didn't go to fashion school formally. And so when I wanted to start my business, I would talk to people and I'd say, can you maybe take my designs and make them for me? And they would say, nobody's going to buy that. It's too sexy. It's too colorful. It's too. And so I kind of taught myself how to design, and I started.
So was there this bias, I guess, in the fashion industry that larger women did not want fashionable items, did not want to feel sexy in some way?
There's a belief that plus size women want to lose weight before they look good, or that they feel like black is slimming, or gray is better, and that they're not reading magazines and going on vacations, which is ridiculous. 65% of American women are plus size women.
Okay, we have one of your mannequins here. Why don't you talk a little bit about this and how years ago maybe a larger woman could not get something like this?
I mean, I remember when I was in college, you couldn't wear something like this to the club. I was kind of the dowdy one in my group, but look at this dress. It's red. You've got this sexy belt and the necklace. It's for a girl who's going out, feels confident about who she is.
Okay. I want to ask you about the phrase plus size.
Yeah.
Is that an appropriate phrase? Because does it say that plus size is not normal size?
I mean, I don't get involved in the semantics. Yeah, no, I mean,
You're
I kind
okay
of
with the phrase.
I embrace plus size, I embrace fat, I embrace curvy. I mean, it's a descriptor. It's about feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, they're telling me in my ear we should say curvaceous.
That too. I mean, I've heard everything. At the end of the day, I'm promoting a lifestyle for the confident plus size woman. We're not really concerned with what we're called.
Does the fashions change like they change with the rest of the industry? And do they mirror the rest of the industry?
Oh my gosh. Plus size women are reading Elle, Glamour, In Style. They know about faux fur being in this season, or red being a power color. So they're wearing all of it. It's very much in line with the trends.
You mentioned the fashion magazines. Are the fashion magazines starting to cover this?
Definitely, more and more. And the good news is that because we are a line that really is designer focused and fashion forward, we're getting a lot of uptake in the magazines, because the editors are actually saying to us, we're having such a hard time finding clothes to put in the magazines.
And speaking of which, there is a avenue for models now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the thing about it is the industry is still actually a little behind when it comes to models. A lot of the plus size companies use size 8 and 10 models. We are legit strictly size 16 and 18 models. I believe customers have to see the clothes on women that have body shapes just like them.
What do you think of the controversy, so-called controversy with Old Navy, where they're charging more for plus size clothing?
I understand the customer's frustration. Clearly, I don't know Old Navy's business structure. I know as a plus size company, first of all, it takes more time and more energy, and therefore I would say more money to make plus size clothing, because it's about getting the fit just right. I think that there's this misconception that if you're plus size, you're big all over. Some women are busty, some women are hippie, some women have flat stomachs, some don't.
In the last minute of the interview we have left, what about men? There are plus size men. Do they have some avenues now?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think that that's a market that still needs development, but I think that when you look at Casual Man and the different brands, they're doing some more fashion forward things for the plus size man.
Do you have any interest in getting into that line?
That's a market I don't understand.
Finally,
I stick to what I know.
Finally, in the last 30 seconds, where are you going to take the company? Where's next?
Well, you know what? We're growing exponentially. We're actually opening a new showroom right here in Manhattan, and it's just growing. Customers can shop at monifc.com.
Okay. Monif, thank you so much for
coming.
Thank you.
This was
Thanks
fun.
for
having
me. We'll have you back on soon.
Great.
Okay.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket. and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
President Barack Obama went to sub-Saharan Africa. We were the only station that covered it wall to wall. We, as the network, and the people that view our network, were the better for it.
In tonight's corner office, one of the cutest corner office we've ever had. He is one of the industries that stays up in a down economy, the business of pets. It's expected to rake in more than $61 billion annually. Everything from clothing, treats, fitness, and wellness items, all catered to pets, are flying off the shelves. And the holidays are a big boost for the business. Celebrity dog groomer Jorge Bendersky knows this firsthand. He's the author of DIY Dog Grooming, now available in 6 languages.
Yes, it's, the pet phenomenon is worldwide. But, New York, here, we're really taking the lead.
You really think? Have you seen the animals out there? So, Tito, I guess this is his kind of a winter outfit going on here?
Well, yes. And, we Americans spend over $50 million a year only on pet outfits.
On pet outfits, they spend $15 million a year? Do they like wearing outfits?
Well, they're city dogs. When you're cold, they are cold. Even if there's a dog that it can be used to the outdoors, when they live with an air conditioner, they like it. The same way we do. So, You don't
think he looks in the mirror and says, I don't need to wear this?
Well, if they're looking like a walking piñata, they might don't like it. But a sweater is a sweater.
The holidays are coming up. I imagine this is a particularly good time of the year for dog grooming. Everybody wants to look their best as people, and we project on our animal companions, don't we?
Dogs are part of our social life, and we really get
He's a little feisty today.
Today he doesn't know what, But, we spend over $60 billion a year on pets in the U.S. alone. And, 4.7 billion goes only on grooming. So, it is money for everybody there.
Yeah, there's grooming, there's clothing, there's food, there's also medical care, which is an explosive field as well.
It is a huge, and it's affecting everything. 33% of dog owners take their dog on their cars. So that is a piece of cake that the car industry is looking into, and they're using it.
There's doggy seatbelts you can have as well.
There are cars that they come with ramps.
There's now Take Your Dog to Work Day.
Exactly. That amounts to 26 million dogs that they travel in cars in the U.S.
That's astounding. 26 million dogs in cars. So, over the past, we've had you on several times, obviously. We'd love to have you here. How has this industry continued to change? And they say it's recession-proof. Is that true?
People travel less. It's the perfect time to get a pet because they're going to be home more. So the pet industry hasn't suffered. It have moved into the beauty industry applied to pets. Now, every treatment that you can get at a spa, your dog can get it at a dog spa. So, that's why...
I wonder if they're going to combine the two someday.
They're kind of...
You can go to the human spa and right next door your dog is out there.
They are out there. And, tons of hotels are pet-friendly and they're offering pet services.
I want to ask a serious question. At this time of year, many dogs end up in shelters. How do we stop that?
Well, you stop by really be sure that your dog have tags, IDs. With the snow, they lose their sense of smell, so sometimes they don't know their way home. A dog that is around to go around the block, or he just go outside by himself. So it is important to have the IDs and, to be careful and,
And not to give animals as pets, and not to give animals as gifts, rather.
That is not a holiday gift. It's a life companion.
Tell us about the oatmeal and honey conditioner for your animal.
Well, like I said, it's the beauty industry applied to pets. On the last 10 years, we have learned that natural ingredients work for us. Mm-hmm. So now we are applying it. I have my own line of products now that is sulfate-free with essential
There's much more
oils.
sensitivity to what we're putting on our animals as well these days.
Exactly.
And we have to remember we pet our animals, so what we give them, they kind of transfers to us.
Exactly. What you put on the dog, it goes inside the dog. So that's why, my line of products is like all what you will want on you.
Okay, when people read the book, we have about 30 seconds left, what do you want them to take away from it?
That grooming your dog is showing them love. It's like nature's way to bonding. It's not just about making them pretty, it's about connecting and becoming a better pet owner. Tito loved me because I give him a bath, basically. So, that's what we all need to learn. And good products makes happy pets and healthy pets.
Jorge and Tito, thank you for coming on today. Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend and a good Thanksgiving. And have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm Andrew Schmertz. Thanks for watching Arise Exchange. We'll see you after the holiday.